welcome to Millennial Pagan Podcast, the podcast that's bringing a voice to the growing number of pagan millennials in our brand of witchcraft, magic, practice, and worship. We're your hosts, Autumn Wolf and
Jera Stone. How you doing, Autumn?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing pretty good. Why don't you go ahead and introduce somebody special we got in our studio today?
Yes, today we have Faelyn. Welcome.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I am fabulous. It's been a wonderful weekend.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's
I love
good.
wonderful weekends, post-Litha.
Yes.
So how was ritual?
Very interesting and very warm.
Warm ritual.
Yeah, calling in Apollo and getting in connection with the magma of the Earth's core and the sun.
Oh.
Yeah.
Even
And
in air conditioning.
even in air conditioning, which I planned for. I wore my kilt, and I wore traditional. So I got a nice couple of breezes here and there, which was great. But we also did a bit of a guided meditation, and I took a ride on Apollo's chariot, and he said, "Just shut up and just watch."
Oh.
It's like, I'm not going to say anything. You're not going to say anything. I'm going to show you what you need to see.
Gotcha.
And then I fell in the sea.
So, Faelyn, what did you do for Litha?
I took care of a sick baby.
Oh,
I know.
Aw.
He's been all stuffy. But that's kind of what happens when you bring him into daycare.
Yeah, they all of a sudden get exposed to a bunch of extra stuff.
Mm-hmm. I did do something nice for my mother, and I sent her a nice summer bouquet of flowers for her birthday. As a nice way of saying, hey, it's summer, and it's your birthday, and here you go.
So was your mother born on Litha or solstice?
No, she was actually spending this weekend in Tahoe, so her birthday was Saturday, but I wanted to make sure it got to her for work.
Gotcha.
So she got it on Litha.
Nice.
Very nice.
And what did you do for Litha?
Well, I was supposed to go to Ritual, but I completely forgot I paid for a camping spot for the same day and ended up going up to Payson and just communing with trees.
Nice.
That's not a bad way to spend it, though.
No, I can't complain.
Well, you were about, what, 20 degrees cooler than we were down here?
Yes, it was gorgeous. We actually had a brand new tent that has a mesh top, unless you put the rain cover on, and because it's Arizona and dry, didn't need the rain top. My only negative comment was that because of our high fire possibility, no fire at all.
Oh, bummer.
Not even for cooking. They even advised against smoking, so...
Yeah, that's when you live in a desert, when everything dries out, especially this time of year. Yeah, just no fire.
Even when you're in a pine forest.
Yeah.
Next to the desert. So today's episode, we're going to be discussing a wide variety of topics with Faelyn, ranging from starting a family as a pagan, PantheaCon, and crystals. But as our listeners know, we tend to start with our guests telling us about their craft and how they got started. So Faelyn, if you don't mind telling us your coming to witch story.
So it actually started in 2004. I was a sophomore, junior in high school. I can't remember anymore. Time, it's gotten away from me. I remember I don't know why, but I had heard the word Wicca somewhere, and there was still Google back then. So I decided to get on my computer, and I typed Wicca into Google, and of course all these listings came up. And I remember one of the ones I read, I believe, was like called Fluffy Bunny or something like that, or something about Fluffy Bunny witchcraft or something. Anyway, I remember getting really interested in it and just went to my local library and got as many books as I could. My path has kind of changed and ranged from different regions of the world, even though I didn't move anywhere until I moved to Arizona. So in the beginning it was Wicca. I think what took me away from Wicca, though, was that I was raised Mormon, and the whole reason that I left the Mormon religion was organized religion. And while Wicca resonated with me on a level of connecting with the earth and energy and my own magic within. As I went on, I realized it wasn't really what I wanted, because it still was some form of organized religion that still had a god, a goddess, and some form of tenets that you had to follow. Not that I don't have morals and whatnot, but it just, I didn't want to follow something that said this is what you need to do and this is how you do it, regardless of how open Wicca can be, depending on where you're at. So through my transition, I looked into different things like Celtic witchcraft, head witchery, got really into crystals, still very into crystals. And I think that's where I am now, in the sense of I would probably consider myself an energy worker. This is going to sound really cheesy. Have you guys seen Avatar?
Yes.
Yes.
The blue people Avatar?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. So if I were to... For visualization purposes, I really like to think about how we're connected to the earth, just like the way that they are connected to Pandora.
Ewa.
Yes, thank
Yes.
you. So in the sense that I don't necessarily have a deity that I speak with on a consistent basis, I like to work with the different energies within the earth. And crystals, you can do it with herbs and all that other kind of stuff and whatnot, but crystals specifically resonate with me.
Right.
And I know the audience can't see me, but you guys can see that I've got different type of stones on me already right now, and they all have some kind of deeper meaning to me.
Right.
So that's where I have landed as I'm out here in Arizona.
What are some of the first books that you picked up?
I was a Scott Cunningham witch. I had Wicca, a solitary guide by Scott Cunningham. I also had Wicca for one. I think it was by Raymond Buckland.
Mm-hmm.
I had the big blue book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one of those. My first book about stones and crystals was also a Scott Cunningham book. I can't remember what it was called, to be honest, but I know it was one of his.
Yep. I think I know which one, because then it became got shoved in with his herbal and everything else, and became one big book.
Yep. So those were my first books, and I remember scrawling all in them. But yeah, the green trimmed Wicca Scott Cunningham book was my first one after I had got it at the library, and then I went and purchased my own copy.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to describe some of the crystals you're currently wearing?
Sure. So first one I'll describe is one that one of the first pieces I got from PantheaCon. It's actually a moonstone ring. It's got two 5-pointed stars on either side of it. Moonstone is really special to me. I'm a Cancer, and that stone resonates with Cancers. I'm wearing my original diamond engagement ring that my husband got me, but then we went and decided together to get a different stone, a different ring that would take place of that ring once we got married, and it is a white sapphire. I'm not really a diamond person, so while I love this because it was given by my husband,
Sentimental value.
Sure. So I thought that the white sapphire would be better. I'm also wearing a gift from my husband around my neck. It is also moonstone, but it has some pieces of jet in it. And then my newest acquisition are my earrings. They're dangly aquamarine earrings. The reason I chose to get that was for 3 reasons. First, my husband was born in March, and that's the March birthstone, Pisces. My son was born in March, the 15th. He's also a Pisces. And third, if you dig into the meaning behind aquamarine or the metaphysical kind of aspects that it can help provide, it provides courage. And I knew that I needed that when I was going back to work. So that was why I decided to make that purchase.
Awesome. That's a lot of water signs in your house.
Yes.
It's a very emotional home.
The good thing is that my husband got the calm side of it.
Oh, good.
So think of like a cool pond where ducks kind of swim and are happy, and I'm like a raging ocean. And
Cancer.
Yes. So we kind of he's the calm, I'm the
storm.
The storm. Yep, absolutely. But we balance each other out pretty well.
Very awesome.
Yeah.
So you say that you work a lot with the energies of stones. Obviously, you just described a lot of the stones that you're wearing. Is there any other spiritual attachments or spirit work that you do?
I don't know if this is jumping in too early to a conversation around kind of how Oliver... I don't know that this is exactly how Oliver came about, but definitely the energy that went into it. I also work with different herbs and that kind of thing. And one of our friends, I'm not going to mention her name because I don't know if she really wants me to, but someone you and I were talking about that also does ritual out in the valley, she actually created an herbal blend for love growth for Mike and I when I felt like we were struggling to become pregnant. And so we took some of that and put it into a satchel, and we put it in our pillows, and that's where we are right now. So I like working with different herbs. I will spend time meditating under the moon. I will spend time, very minimal time, sitting under the sun, trying to soak up that kind of energy depending on how I'm feeling or what I need for the day. And I do a lot of cleansing and purifying of my stones through the sun and the moon as well.
Do you do any sort of like ceremonial magic other than just sabbats, or? Mostly
sabbats, and when I do that, I'm usually with a group of people out in the valley. I've been pretty solitary most of my life, but community is important to me. And while I'm not necessarily the instigator, I like to join in some of the things that are going on. So regardless of whether or not it's something I necessarily believe, when we have sabbats that deal with certain gods or goddesses, it's still energy, and I still definitely appreciate and value the worth of the ritual.
Do you do any divination?
I do have tarot and oracle cards. I've used them. I think that I remember listening to your previous guest. I can't remember her name. Caro, thank you. And how it's kind of stupid to do divination or tarot cards on yourself. And I completely agree, because it always becomes kind of muddled and whatnot. But I do have some. I've not really done readings for people, except like maybe my sister, but that's about it.
Do you have a daily practice that you stick with, or?
The closest thing to a daily practice, 2 things that I do. This is going to sound kind of silly. So the first thing that I do is my watch that I wear has a timer set for 11:11 every day, and it's to remind myself that I need to take a breath, step away from my work, because I get caught up in my work pretty frequently, and just sit and be in myself for a moment. So I use that to kind of relax myself, especially if I'm having a really tough day. And even if I'm not having a tough day, when it goes off, it's just a reminder, like, I got to take some time for myself. So that's daily, because it goes off every day.
And that can actually be very powerful in and of itself.
And then the second thing that I would say is mostly daily is, while I don't necessarily have gods and goddesses that I work with, I was gifted a Fortuna from some other pagan podcasting friends quite a few years ago. I'm trying to remember. I think we were in San Francisco. They were doing what they called a Podkin Supermoot. It didn't last very long. I think they only got to like 4 or 5 of them. They had one in California, and they all pitched in. I was having a pretty rough go of it, and they all pitched in and got me a Fortuna statue. And she has been a part of my life, even as a visualization piece. Every single day, she sits in my room on a little altar that I have a bowl of spare change on, and every day as I have extra change, I'll throw it in there just to remember to kind of help move or bring that prosperity into my life, and never forget that little things can make a difference too.
Right. Are those friends modern in any sense of the word?
Modern?
Like modern witches?
Oh no. Well, he was definitely there. But he was actually the host of where we went.
Okay.
So the others were a riot, if you will say.
Oh.
And they did some New World stuff.
Okay.
And, a bunch of brouhaha. So.
Love it.
So. These are all great codes, by the way.
Yeah, perfect. I'm glad you understand.
Yes. So, for those who don't know, who is Fortuna?
Fortuna is the goddess of prosperity, good fortune. A lot of people will do something similar to what I'm doing to bring that prosperity into their life. And it doesn't just have to be monetary prosperity. It can be anything. Happiness, joy, could be a baby. So a lot of the people who purchased her for me also have a similar altar in their homes as well.
Gotcha. Where does she come from?
That's a good question. I'm not very good with gods and goddesses. So,
understood.
Yeah.
Is that, do you purposefully don't want to work with gods and goddesses? Don't necessarily believe in deity as a thing?
It's the second. I don't. Okay. I just don't see a physical form out there.
Okay.
It's very much energy, and as I mentioned, I like the idea of deity or gods and goddesses as visualization to work with the different energies that I need in my life, but not so much
actual solid things.
Yeah, something out there that
corporeal.
Yes, thank you.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, what kind of magic do you do other than just the stonework mostly, or
mostly stonework, mostly internal energy working, as I mentioned, meditating under the sun, the moon, and soaking up the rays of the sun. I will work with different herbs and create mixtures. I will spend time, if I really need it, I'll spend time creating a space of my own and just meditating on the things that I need, or asking the universe for things that I feel are necessary in my life to bring me to where I need to be comfortable. But I'll always try to offer something back, whether that be my time doing something or helping someone out or whatever that may be. Kind of a pay it forward kind of situation.
Right. That sounds amazing. How long have you been in the Valley?
So I moved to the Valley the weekend after my wedding. That was June 2016. So we just passed 2 years. And it's been a very hot 2 years.
Yes.
Welcome to the surface of the sun.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. So you built a house when you moved out here?
We did. We rented for a little while, but we knew that we wanted to have a place of our own. We were at a place, financially speaking, where we were tired of being in someone else's place and helping them pay for it. So we actually learned about the process of building your own home through my brother, who also did the same thing in California. Our house ended up way cheaper than his, even though ours was a little bit bigger.
Ooh.
Not that we're comparing or anything like that, but
it irks him during Christmas time?
Probably does, just a little bit. But so we built a house. We are up in the North Peoria area, so Northwest Valley. And it was a really exciting process, just being able to kind of pick and choose what you wanted in your home and what was important to you and what wasn't important and what you didn't need to spend money on. Some people wanted an extra bedroom. We wanted an island as big as our bed. You know,
Ooh.
Priorities.
Teaching.
I like that. I actually saw this. This is kind of interesting you said that, because somebody had their house built, have an island, huge island in the middle of their kitchen, but it opens up and it goes down into a wine cellar.
Ooh.
So
That sounds fun.
Keep that in mind for the next one.
Yeah, we don't.
You never know.
Yeah, we don't tend to go down into the dirt in Arizona though much, do we?
No.
I think they have the slate rock too low, too high for that.
Yeah,
is that what it is? I
mean,
I'm not from here.
there's still enough. I mean, I know people out here who have actually built like bunkers and stuff like that, and especially out here, I actually know somebody who built a beer cave.
Oh,
Ooh.
Yeah, literally, he calls it a beer cave, but it's all different types of alcohol, wines, spirits, everything that he keeps in the ground because it keeps it cooler.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So he didn't really have to dig too deep for that. He only did like literally a grave.
Oh, okay.
So
6 feet.
6 feet.
6 feet under. All
Lovely.
right.
6 feet under for booze.
Right.
Yep.
I think the ground is much too hard where we are. So I don't think we're going too deep.
But I know when you were building your house, you put a lot of magical thought into it. What kind of things did you do?
So one thing I didn't mention is my husband's not very magical. He's not very anything, to be honest. Grew up in a very overtly Christian household. Literally, I was the reason that he stopped going to church. I felt really bad, but not really. But anyway, so I had asked him, I said, I know this wouldn't mean a ton to you, but it would mean a lot to me if you and I could go out and we could place some stones where they would be laying the foundation, so that we would have at the foundation of our home different energies of protection and peace and calm. Because this is where I want to come home every day and see you. And at the time I wasn't pregnant, but obviously our future children. And so it was really important to me to find specific stones that were going to help put out that energy. So I spent, I want to say, at least a week with the stones out in the sun, going through the cycle of the sun and the moon, especially around the full moon time, kind of that transition. And then once that was done, we took the stones, and every I want to say foot or so, where they had laid the grid that the foundation was going to go, we did, we would lay a stone. So we used black lava salt, so black Hawaiian salt. We used lapis lazuli, we used amethyst, and we used black tourmaline. I want to say, I'm trying to know what my directions are, to be honest. They were all different sides. One was north, one was east, south, and west. And I'm blanking on the orientation right now of my house. So, but the front door I know for sure was amethyst, because I knew that as soon as I or anybody else walked through the front door or came in through the garage, which is on the same plane, I wanted that peace and calm to come over us. No matter how tough the day was or how miserable I was feeling, I just wanted to know that I could come home and be calm.
That's fantastic.
I know a lot of people that want that.
I don't know a lot of people that don't want that.
Yeah.
Right?
But I know a lot of people that don't necessarily get that. So I feel very blessed to have been able to go through that process. And that I had a husband that was so supportive of it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Do you want to describe what the other stones were for?
Sure. So I know that realistically it was a lot of protection and a lot of calm.
Right.
But let me pull up my fancy book and read a couple of things. In regards to the other stones that we used, lapis lazuli, which that's the way I pronounce it, whether or not that's right or not.
I like that one.
We use that one specifically to help support good health within our home. When we look at other ones, we had black tourmaline, specifically used to help repel and protect against negativity.
Oh, okay.
And then similarly, the black Hawaiian lava salt is also used for that. It's to help ward off unwanted guests. So people you don't really want to come over. Kind of help protect against them knocking on your door.
Right. Yeah. Like solicitors.
Yes. We don't get very many except for the people who want to sell us solar, which we already got, so we tell them to go away.
They're trying for the environment, but you already got there.
Yes.
Yeah.
We beat them to it.
So is there any other kind of grids that you laid down or protections?
Not really. I mean, we used just the idea of the different energies of north, south, east, and west, but outside of that, it was the stones and the directional energies.
Fine. So, moving on to your most recent life change.
Oliver.
Yeah, you just went from maiden to mother.
I did.
And I know that was actually a process that was planned and prepared. So I'm thinking, as somebody who practices the craft, you did a lot of planning and preparing magically as well.
This is where a lot of the tarot cards came in that gave very convoluted messages and had nothing to do with me getting pregnant. And I just sat there and said, tell me what I want to hear, damn it. And it didn't happen. It eventually did, but that was really just not the direction to go. I spent a lot of nights meditating and wondering whether or not I was right to be a mother and if this was going to happen. And I know there are many other moms or women who would like to be mothers that are going through much more of a struggle than I am. I totally know that's a thing. I have a cousin who waited 10 years to have her baby, and another who waited 8. So my measly year, which felt like eternity, was nothing in comparison to that. But I digress. Lots of meditation. Again, as I mentioned, we asked for some help from some local people in the community. Our friend who does ritual in the West Valley, we actually got to participate in a ritual where we used Maiden, Mother, and Crone, and I got to be the maiden, and everyone helped project positive energy to help me get pregnant, that particular ritual. And then, as I mentioned, she also gave us an herbal mixture to help promote love growth.
Spoilers, the same witch is publishing through Wiser Books, and we will be speaking with her in November.
Yay! Awesome. That'll be a much better interview than me, I promise, guys.
Every interview has its own magic.
Perfect.
We're so new at this, it's us, not you.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
I'll take it. So eventually, I should say this. I also had a necklace that I was wearing. It was Moonstone, which is also supposed to help support feminine health. And so I had a necklace that I was wearing. It had multiple stones. kind of in a row on a bar, I would say. It wasn't a chain, it was a bar, and then the chain came off of that. And I had it blessed at one of our rituals to impart energy to help us conceive. And I remember going to this friend and telling her one day that it broke. And I said, I wonder if that means that it did its job. Unfortunately, that was like maybe about a month before it happened, but I would still say that it probably felt like it had run its course, and I just needed to be in a comfortable, relaxed space for it to happen.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, it was starting its process. That's why it broke.
Yeah.
It was telling you to calm.
Yeah.
Be calm, be prepared. It's happening.
So we went on an Alaskan cruise last year for our 1-year wedding anniversary, and I was crossing my fingers that it would happen there, and it didn't. And I remember being really upset about it, but also trying to enjoy the magic that is an Alaskan cruise. Mm-hmm. I posted a few pictures on my blog or I should say at least one picture on my blog of that cruise, and just us standing in front of one of those glaciers, and the energy coming off of an area like that is amazing. And I remember coming home so refreshed and so relaxed. And then because it was so cold and I didn't pack anything appropriately, I got sick.
Oh.
And I was for sure that we were not getting pregnant that time around. And lo and behold, I remember the day on July 9th, at 5 o'clock in the morning, I remember waking my husband up and asking him to tell me if he saw a line.
Wake up.
And then I freaked out and called my mother. So, but yeah, I think a lot of the relaxing energy of the cruise, while it didn't happen on the cruise, was what helped that process happen. My job is very stressful, and I think I was allowing all of that negative energy to prevent it from happening.
Exciting and beautiful.
Thanks.
I like stories like that.
And now I have a wonderful, smiley, happy baby who really enjoys holding his head up after he's done feeding and staring at a painting that I have that was made by one of my podcasting friends. And he just sits there and stares at it. And it's a painting. It's a really brightly colorful painting of Gaia, Mother Goddess. And she's beautiful. And I just love that he stares at her when he's done eating. It just makes my heart happy.
Every day he's discovering new colors.
Yes.
His eyes developing. I remember when my niece started seeing red, and her reaction to me and her grandfather was completely different. Like, ooh, you're bright. You're no longer just pale. It's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He responds to other pictures, but it's that one that specifically holds his focus. Mm-hmm. And that just, again, it could be the bright colors, but I also like to think that just the amount of energy that the artist put into it.
Oh, of course. And the love.
Yes.
That you can feel that he has a community helping him grow.
Yeah. So that makes me happy. I took a picture of it and sent it to him, and he was very grateful that I shared that with him.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So since Oliver's presence, have you done anything specific to either at birth or moving forward?
I all intentions of doing something at birth, but I will tell all of your listeners who are not mothers that a lot of that goes out the window the moment it happens. I will tell you that the one thing that I was glad that happened, while she is not magical and doesn't necessarily agree with my decision to move forward with my witchcraft path, my mother got to be there for the birth. And I know that Oliver waited to be there so that his Nana could be there when he came. Because I had gone into labor the day before at 6 p.m. and he didn't come until after 8 p.m. The next day.
The following day. Wow.
Day. Yeah. So my mom was on a plane freaking out that she wouldn't make it. And he held on, and she got there, and just the energy and the love in the room was fabulous, and I was just happy to experience that with her.
That's
beautiful.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Long experience for you, though.
Very long. Hopefully the next one's a little shorter.
Well, they say the next one's going to be shorter. Yeah. And I learned that because the joke was my niece came in 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
They had to induce, and she started grabbing onto her husband's hand really hard. And he's like, what's wrong? She goes, I really hurt. And he's like, okay, I'll go get the nurse. And the nurse is like, oh, no, nothing should. Oh, God. And the way he describes it is the room was instantly filled with 100 people. And he was fighting with himself. Am I going to watch? Am I not going to watch? Am I going to watch? And he's like, I had to hold a leg. And you just can't watch. Like, what are you supposed to do? Look at a wall or look at this thing that's happening here to my wife? Oh, goodness. But was your husband in the room?
He was. My husband was in the room. He had gotten up for work the day that I went into labor at like 4:30 in the morning. Went to work, worked late, and was like, I gotta work late. I just gotta finish up this one customer. And I was like, okay, no problem. And then it was a problem. And I went into labor and I called him and I said, so I need you to come home. But I need you to drive safe. Because he was coming all the way from Scottsdale.
Oh, right, yeah.
So he got home. Everything was fine. I was still calm. Nothing was crazy at the time we got to the hospital. He remained up until I sent him home around midnight, 1 o'clock, after Oliver came, because my mom was going to stay in the hospital with me.
Right.
And I said, you need to get some sleep because I need your help tomorrow. So he left, got himself refreshed, and then came back the next day and stayed in the hospital one more night with me. But he was there for the whole process. And I was all the feels.
All the feels.
All the feels.
So since, have you done naming ceremonies, anything of that nature with him yet, or it's just been a whirlwind of a couple of months?
It's been a whirlwind of a couple of months, but in true nerd fashion, I would say that we just had some fun while I was in labor talking about other famous people that happen to be born on his birthday. And again, as the listeners can't tell, but you guys can, I'm wearing a shirt for the Harry Potter Alliance. I'm a huge Harry Potter nerd, geek, fan, whatever you want to call me. And I remember we were going through the list of names, and an actor came up on the list, Sean Biggerstaff, who played Oliver Wood in Harry Potter. So we thought that it was really fitting that his name was going to be Oliver, because they were both born on the same day.
Aww.
Yay. Exciting.
That is very nerdy. I like that.
It is.
I saw the trailer for the new Fantastic Beasts in theaters when we went and saw Solo with a friend who just missed the Potter generation. So I'm like sitting there smacking. I'm like, it's happening. And he's just like, too old for that. Thanks. And I'm like,
You're never too old for Harry Potter.
Right? I mean, I live with people who are much older than even him that are still Harry Potter nerds. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Absolutely.
But whatever. So do you have anything planned in the future?
I mean, at this point, we're playing it by ear, but I would like him to be involved in my spiritual practice. I also told Mike that it's really important to me that he finds his own way. Ultimately, I will share my feelings and my beliefs with him, and what I'd like him to do is decide on his own. And whatever he decides to do, I'm going to be okay with, because I know that whatever makes him happy is going to make me happy. But I'd like to bring him to ritual. He will be coming to Pagan Pride Day with me. I don't know if Mike will be coming, but maybe. So he will be immersed into the spiritual aspect of my life as well.
That's awesome.
So for a few minutes, we're going to take our short break.
All right, we are back with Millennial Pagan Podcast, and of course, we still have Faelyn here with us. We were talking a little bit about her magic work, working with stones, and talking about the new bundle of joy that has creeped into your household.
I wouldn't say creeped. He's graced our household
yes.
with his wonderful presence
and voice.
Voice.
He doesn't quite laugh or giggle yet.
Oh,
but he's got this like kind of thing.
Right.
It's his version, and he smiles a lot, and he likes to hear the noise go over his vocal, like making noise, but sometimes it's screaming, but not all the time.
He's learning how to use
the vocal cords
now.
Yes.
So I hear we recently had a sick baby.
We did.
And we're having allergies. Are we doing anything that you would say it's magical or no?
I wish, but I haven't done enough research to feel comfortable enough with giving him something.
Oh, yeah, no.
So, I mean, other than the saline water.
That's magical sometimes.
For sure. And this magical instrument known as a nose Frida.
The puff thing?
No, that one's just a bulb, a nose sucker bulb. But they have this amazing thing called a nose Frida, and this is going to sound really gross. I'm sorry for your listeners, but you hold one end up to his nose, and then the other end is actually your own sucking power. So you actually get more than the bulb because you can suck more than a bulb can, but there's filters and stuff in between. So
thank goodness.
Yes, you don't get baby germs and anything like that. It's actually quite amazing.
Oh, my brother's been thrown up in his mouth already.
Oh.
But when the bulb came out at first, he was running around the house trying to suck his poor wife's nose.
No.
He's like, "Come here, let me get your boogies," and she's like,
no.
"No."
I don't know why, but when you were describing the nose Frida, I was thinking I could just see you and a baby with a crazy straw.
No, there's this awesome little filter piece that goes in between. It almost, the piece that goes up against his nose actually looks like a enlarged pen, maybe, but without the ink, obviously. And then there is a flexible tube that comes out of it that's connected to a filter, but it allows air to pass through so that you can help suck it out. Yeah. I know all the pagan podcast listeners want to know about that. So
hey, it's life. Get over it. It's part of life cycle.
Yeah.
So, healing to baby Oliver. Well, let's talk about PantheaCon. You've been there. It's a dream of obviously both of ours, and I'm sure some listeners. What is PantheaCon?
So PantheaCon is a large spiritual conference of multiple ranges of different pagans and witches and esoterical people and just magical people in general, all walks of life, go and converge upon the DoubleTree in San Jose once a year during President's Day weekend. And it's in the thousands. I want to say anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 people are there each year. And there's always something new, so I don't really feel like it ever dwindles because there's always different presenters and they're always accepting different applications for classes and workshops and that kind of thing. My first year going was 2011, and I went all the way up into 2016 and 17. I went to 17. I missed 18 for obvious reasons. Yeah. And I will be going back for 2019, I believe. Vendor and workshop applications open up in July, so they'll start kind of sharing stuff about that on Facebook pretty soon. But literally any walk of pagan life you can think of, there's usually some kind of workshop or experience that you can get at PantheaCon. I'm trying to think of different things that go on. They also even have concerts, like different musical people come and they do concerts up in the tree rooms is what they're called. The rooms have different names. Right. There's tree rooms and city rooms, and then the vendor rooms are, I think, mountains. So, and then the vendor room, oh my gosh, I wish I could accurately describe how amazing the vendor room is, but it's 4 rooms wide. Ginormous carpeted ballroom type room, and every inch is covered with vendors from all over. People who sell jewelry, people who sell clothing, people who sell different herbs, and one of my favorites, I get something there every year, is a witch who puts together different teas. And that one's one of my favorites. She has a girl who works there whose name is also my mundane name, so we always kind of connect when I'm there. But books, and they also set up little tables around where you can do divinatory sessions with either people who do oracle cards, tarot cards, different readings, that kind of thing. So it's fabulous.
So it's kind of like Comic-Con pagan.
Yes, absolutely.
I like that.
Two of my favorite, I know you didn't ask anything, but two of my favorite workshops that I tend to go to every single time I go, as of about 3 or 4 years ago, are the Atheo-Pagan group and the Pop Culture Magic class that always ends the con for me, because she always does it on Monday. That's when she always gets the slot. But it's totally worth going to, even though it's like the last day. Both for very different reasons.
Right.
I'm kind of intrigued by the pop culture pagan. What's that like?
So everyone in that room is some form of geek or nerd or something.
Everyone in this room is
Yeah.
Just like everyone in this room. But she has a way of, and I really like this, kind of the same way that I mentioned about Fortuna and using that as a visualization piece for me, but taking things in pop culture. So one that she tends to use, or tended to use in the last one that I went to, were the Avengers or Loki. So utilizing the energy from that particular character to accomplish something in your life. However, and you every time you go, you always get a little badge ribbon that goes with it. She will always say version control. So you have to make sure that you're thinking about the right Loki. So there have been so many different portrayals and characters and examples of that particular character. And so be careful which one you think you're working with,
Right.
I guess I should say. So right after that class, I knew that I needed to bring we were in the process of talking houses, trying to build, that kind of thing. And so I really wanted to bring a little bit of additional funds into the household. And I knew that a Niffler would do that for me. But I made sure, like, you always have to appease a Niffler, because if you don't, they will go around and find everything shiny in your house. And so I remember taking time out to talk with the girl who runs the workshop, and she was just telling me to make sure that he has something shiny around him at all times, and know that you could perhaps put yourself in a situation where everything shiny in your house tends to go missing. So, but yeah,
I could see that, because I actually have a stuffed Niffler in my room, but I always have gold coins in his belly. I don't. What I do, so one of the other things that I do is I cosplay, and I cosplay as Hagrid.
Okay.
And I always carry around this little stuffed Niffler that has a little belly pouch, and
awesome.
I hand out gold coins to Hogwarts students, especially if they're really, really young.
Yeah.
To kind of, number one, create a magical moment for them, but also to just have fun with the character. And I love the fact that you kind of bring that up, because now I know, it's like, okay, I'm going to make sure that he keeps at least a few gold coins in his pouch at all time.
Yep.
Right. Or you're handing out his toys,
Yeah.
presents, and suddenly you don't have as much money for lunch as you thought.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, you needed gas in your car today? Let's see about that.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of really like the idea of doing that type of a workshop, because one idea that I've had that I still want to bring to fruition, I was actually going to do it for my birthday this year, but time kind of escaped me, but actually do a pop culture pagan ritual where we link up the different elements with different pop culture characters, and call in a specific god and goddess superhero.
Absolutely.
So I kind of like that. It's a great way to visualize something like that, especially for new pagans coming into the craft.
Absolutely.
Well, watch out, Jera. Not next episode, but the episode after that. That's our topic. So
I know.
Don't give away too much of your fun
I'm
plans.
So
Oh, no,
excited.
no.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But not to jump in too much into the topic, but with that being said, some people have difficulties connecting with all these ancient gods or
Right.
goddesses and what they may or may not have looked like. And so those of us growing up in this day and age, we can visualize that superhero or that character
Yes.
that you really want to work with. So I think that it's like I said, it's totally worthwhile going to, even if it continues to be on a Monday, which is the day that everyone travels.
No, I understand. So, you actually talked about another one that I want to kind of dive into and have you explain the tradition and the belief system of. So, what was that other
So
class?
the other one was atheopaganism, and I connected to it specifically because there are no deities within my spiritual path.
Mhm.
And so that particular workshop or class, we did a couple of things, so I guess you could call it a workshop, was really centered around working with the energies of the earth and finding ways to be a witch without connecting with some form of a goddess or god. So what I would say is the idea behind it is really a reverence for the earth. Specifically, that is really important in atheopaganism. A lot of people think that it can't work because being an atheist is the non-belief, I guess, but realistically, they used it just because they don't specifically work with deity in
Right.
their practice.
So, what should somebody who's first time going to PantheaCon expect, prepare for?
Always remember, it's very important to eat.
Mhm.
There are and drink water. Eat at least one meal a day. Drink plenty of fluids, and at least try to get a shower in.
Non-alcoholic fluids.
Yes. Drink plenty of agua. I will say, and I think they put this in their booklet every single year, but patchouli is not a shower. So
I love it.
So at least one shower a day.
Yes.
But keep in mind, my first year, and I think a lot of people's first year, you want to get to everything.
Mhm.
There is so much going on, and if you truly try to get to everything, you will not sleep. You will forget to eat. You will forget to drink your water.
That one element.
And there will be lots of alcohol consumed. And so you potentially could have terrible things happen to you. While this wasn't necessarily because I forgot to drink water, there was one year that I forgot to eat appropriately. And I also decided, because they do this at PantheaCon, I was also donating blood. And I forgot to eat. And I found myself on the floor of the bathroom with people around me trying to get me to drink fluids. I believe there was a Powerade involved and some granola bars. So I would definitely say that you should remember the necessities of life, and that if the PantheaCon is here, it will probably continue to be here unless something crazy happens, and that usually workshops, while they don't necessarily repeat, there will be something like that to experience the next year.
So, other than giving blood, best, worst experiences?
Oh.
Or the passing out in the bathroom, that would probably be...
That's probably my worst experience,
Yeah.
was the passing out portion.
Mhm.
Best experiences, there are some fabulous rituals, regardless of your path. The amount of energy that is raised during a lot of those rituals is exhilarating and amazing, and potentially could be overwhelming for quite a lot of people, so you do have to remember to ground afterwards, but I've never experienced rituals like them. I've never gotten what I've gotten out of rituals at PantheaCon anywhere else, just because of how many people are there.
So, water, food, ground.
Yep.
I think those are the witch's essentials.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anywhere you go.
Absolutely. If you do stay on site, remember to protect your room, because the energy will come in. However, not everyone can stay on site, so many years I've actually stayed across the street, which is perfect.
Helps buffer.
Absolutely.
Because then the street traffic will actually, that would cut that down.
Absolutely.
A lot.
Yes.
Mundane traffic.
Yes.
Yep. So you brought a book.
I
It's a
did.
very big book.
It's huge.
You've been using it to reference some stones when I've asked stone questions. What is this tome?
So I came across this a really long time ago. probably a few years into my craft, but it's called Love is in the Earth. It's a kaleidoscope of crystals, updated. It says, the updated reference book describing the metaphysical properties of the mineral kingdom, and it's by the author known as Melody. I don't know if you guys would agree with me, but I kind of feel like the front cover is a little psychedelic looking, kind of, potentially. A little earth-like and a little psychedelic, kind of a mixture of the two.
It definitely gives you the kaleidoscope feel.
For sure.
And the new agey essence.
Absolutely. And so anytime that I have been interested in a new stone, I've referenced this book. Anytime that I'm specifically looking for a type of energy that I need to tap into because I feel like that certain energy in my life has been sapped, I will utilize the reference portion in this book to try to figure out what stone might work best for me. When I was trying to get pregnant, I used this book to determine what stone might be the best for me to get pregnant and stay pregnant. And so it's an amazing reference. As I was mentioning before the podcast, if you like a book with pictures, this is not the book for you. But it is a wealth of knowledge, and it's the first place I go. And if I can't find something in there, which tends to be really rare, I'll try to find it online.
Right, the internet.
Yes.
How many pages is that book? Because that's at least 2.5 to 3 inches of page.
Should we say it's about as long as a Harry Potter book?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's the 6th. I would say something along the 4th, maybe.
The 4th or 5th,
yeah.
yeah.
4th. Right
So-
when they start getting like, oh, this is what I got myself into.
Oh, yeah. So 726 pages.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That-
And as you can see, it's not like the font is big either.
Yeah,
No,
no.
So-
yeah. No.
That is definitely a hefty book.
Yes.
Yes. Well, so events coming up in our local area are, well, sadly, yes, I only have local events for people who aren't in the valley. Book Talk will be on the 1st of July at 10 a.m. I know that's an odd one for my normal Book Talk people. It will still be at Changing Hands in Tempe, and it will be 10 a.m. the 1st.
The first, that's a
Sunday.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we are switching gears. That whole new job thing really
Yeah.
changed my Tuesday nights. And the volunteer meeting for Phoenix Pagan Pride will be on the 7th of this upcoming month, I should say, July. So you want to go check out Phoenix Pagan Pride's Facebook page to get details on that. For all of our listeners who are questioning whether our Patreon supporting is worth it, well, we have a Patreon supporter right here. Is it worth it?
Absolutely.
And why is it worth it, Jera?
Well, because we do exclusive mini-sodes where we go a little bit more in depth and just talk about random stuff that either we didn't get to during our regular show or something that we feel doesn't fill up an entire hour, we'll go ahead and put into these small shows.
Right. Now, we don't have a new Patreon supporter to say thank you to today. However, we do have an anonymous giver of great fortune. So we want to say a thank you to whomever sent Jera our newest microphone. We really appreciate it. I'm pretty sure Faelyn loves having her own mic today. So thank you.
So now we're at a total of 3.5 microphones.
Right.
With 4 stands.
So this is
that's
fantastic.
good.
We
Yes.
really, really appreciate that from the anonymous giver. If you do not want to be anonymous and you want an actual thank you with your name on it for the next episode or for the upcoming minisode, email us at pagan pod millennial pagan pod at gmail.com. If you are only finding our links through Facebook, please note we are on Podbean, iTunes, SoundCloud, and eventually
Spotify.
Ooh, so we're waiting on them.
Yep.
They'll come in. So you can find the pod on Twitter, Facebook, and that email I just said. Faelyn, where can our listeners find more about you or chat with you if they want to?
So 3 locations that I'll give on the podcast today. So Instagram, I'm at Project Fae. That's ProjectFae. And that's also the same for my Twitter. So again, at Project Fae for Twitter. They can also find my blog, which is projectfae.org, all one word. Again, projectfae.org. It's just my own little personal space on the internet where I share my path from my perspective.
Fantastic. Jera, where can they find you?
Again, on Twitter, at Jera Stone, Jerastone.
Fantastic. And you can find me, Autumn Wolf, on Facebook, Twitter, and WordPress. WordPress is going to be Iron Wolf Circle, and Twitter is going to be Autumn Wolf. Wolf has an E at the end, and Facebook also the same.
And just remember, listening to our episodes, to all of our shows, we do want to hear from you guys. Make sure you guys follow us on the Facebook page if you guys want to communicate a little bit with us, because just like with every show, it's a discussion.
Yes, we definitely want to hear from you. If you want to be on the pod, if you want to hear something different on the pod, give us suggestions. Let us know. We'll talk to you. We want to hear from you. We're a voice for millennial pagans, not just me and Jera talking at each other constantly. So
with that, and I think you should know the end part here because you've listened along. So it's okay. It's very easy. Merry meet.
Merry part.
And
merry meet again.